ears in. What?
Oh, I thought that was a plug.
Hey, Nancy.
Good morning. Hi, Mary. You're with.
Teddy Bear Fresh.
That's what I thought. I heard you speak at an event that Elise put on. You were great. My interns were with me and they were really interested in what you had to say.
Oh. Yes, I can talk very fluently with this regarding all the food systems and the positives and the negatives.
Well, much appreciated. The negatives are just as important for everyone
I
to
call
know
it
as the positives.
positive criticism.
Yep. So, Annika, I am not going to the tour tomorrow. I just can't get out of here. I'm trying really hard to get out of here, but I just can't do it.
Oh no. Well, we'll miss you. I'm sorry
Yeah,
to get you to go.
Yeah, I'd love to go. But
Annika, that last webinar was very resourceful.
The distribution and access meeting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I thought that was a great group that the co-chairs picked out.
Good morning again, everyone.
Hey,
Good morning,
Diana.
Good morning.
Annika, Leah is now a member of the FSRC.
Yes, as of a week ago, Leah Paley from the Anne Arundel County Food Bank has been added as a representative of independent food banks.
Oh, I would love to touch base with her as well.
I believe that she's out of the country right now, but we'll make a bigger announcement for her membership at the next council meeting. Hey, Norton.
Hi, Philip. It's good to see you. I was worried you weren't at the last one, so I was hoping you hadn't left our meetings.
No, still very interested, just lots on my plate.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time.
Okay, so
I just want to test my speaker. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, fantastic. All right.
Cool. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
So I'm just going to go ahead and get us going since it is 11 a.m. This is the Maryland Food System Resiliency Council's Environment and Production Committee meeting that happens every month. I am Annika Lefebvre. I am the Resilience Program Coordinator with the Maryland Department of Emergency Management. And as a heads up to everyone, this call is going to be recorded in compliance with the Open Meetings Act and will be posted to the council's website as soon as it is ready. But we are going to continue the conversation on agricultural labor today. As some of you may remember, it was almost exactly a year ago that Norton last joined this committee to provide a very informative overview of how the H2A program works. And today we asked him to come back to talk through next steps. I believe we also are going to have Tyler Butler join us, but I don't see him on the call just yet. So we will see if he's able to join. But the committee, I can say more about it in a minute, but the committee has looked at different possible strategies for addressing agricultural labor, but over the past several reports. And I think that there's some interest in talking about how a changing federal landscape might impact how the H2A program works and what Maryland farmers are doing to address their agricultural labor needs. Okay, so enough rambling from me. I'm going to turn it over to Nancy to give us a welcome, and Joe, her co-chair, is away on his honeymoon right now. So Nancy, please take it away.
Well, welcome to this committee meeting. And as Annika said, it will follow up on some of the earlier discussions we had. Welcoming Joe as the new co-chair, and he's enjoying himself on his honeymoon. And also wanted to welcome Annika back and Piper, who introduced herself later and is the fellow that's working with MDEM this fall. So Annika, I'll turn it back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Nancy. Okay, we're just going to take a quick roll call. We have Nancy here. Is Dr. Escobar here today? Anne Marie Hart, bookbinder. Dr. Karki. Dr. Lansing.
I'm here.
Hi, Dr. Lansing. Grace Leatherman. Steve McHenry. Oh, Grace just joined. Steve McHenry, no. Martin. Oh, and there's Steve. Martin Prue. Mary Salins is here, and Carl Schlegel. No worries, Grace. Okay, so we can go ahead and get started with the conversation. Oh, first, I did want to make a couple quick announcements. As Nancy said, we are very excited to have a new member of our team with us. Piper Kohlenberger is the new Emerson Fellow with the Congressional Hunger Center, who will be working with the Maryland Office of Resilience through the end of March. We are so excited to have her help with the council and other food systems resilience things that our office is working on. Piper, do you want to say a quick hello for the Environment and Production Committee?
Yeah, some of you met me in the last meeting for distribution and access, but just like a for you guys, my name's Piper, and I just graduated from production and ag science, so that's kind of like more where my focus is. And we're excited to work with you all.
Thanks, Piper. We're so excited to have you. And your agricultural background too. So the Distribution and Access and Environment and Production Committees will both meet again next month on November 20th at the same time. So stay tuned for more information on those meetings. And the full council is going to meet on December 11th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. There's going to be an in-person option for appointed council members. More details to come on that soon. But we can just get right into the conversation here. I don't think Tyler has joined yet. So Norton, I'm just gonna introduce you or have you introduce yourself. And we can go from there with some questions and opening up the conversation. But Norton Pereira, did I say your last name right, Norton?
Pereira, yeah, it's close enough.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Norton is the State Rural Services Coordinator with the Maryland Department of Labor, and he oversees Maryland's implementation of the H-2A visa program and H-2B as well. Is that right, Norton?
Yes, that is correct. Mm-hmm.
Great.
By the way, I texted Tyler to remind him to join our little get together. So I hope he sees it.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, we hope to have him. So to jog everyone's memory, where the Environment and Production Committee has left off with the agricultural labor conversation is you all wrote a recommendation suggesting that a commission on ag labor would be a helpful next step for, kind of like getting all of the subject matter experts in the same room and trying to make change happen. But there have also been several recommendations over the years on apprenticeships as a possible model for encouraging more beginning farmers to come to the table, and also to increase the labor pool. So I'm curious, I would like to hear from committee members, and please feel free to jump in at any point. We can ask Norton questions since he has graciously agreed to attend this meeting again. I want to know what would be some strategic next steps, especially in light of a changing climate, for advancing this ag labor issue. So I'll start us off by asking Norton a question. Can you give us an idea of how your office is being used by the ag sector right now? Are you seeing an increase in use of the visa program or any changes? I'm curious also if you can talk a little bit about the H-2B program, and since we haven't previously explored that with this committee, how does that differ from the H-2A program? I know that there are some articles out there about how the seafood industry is struggling with trying to lean into the H-2B program a little bit more. If you could provide any background information, I think that would be really helpful.
Sure. We are starting to see an uptick, especially in not a huge uptick, but we are expecting this to increase over time, especially over in the coming year. Our program historically, if I go back in the previous several years, we're seeing steady growth every year, usually anywhere from 10 to 20% growth. But we are starting to see a few non-traditional farms show interest in the program in order to get labor, replace labor in some cases that they've lost through other means. So we are still seeing an increase in the interest in the H-2A. This year, especially with the implementation of the interim final rules that was just announced back in October 2nd, it's still under the comment period that's not going to be really finalized until sometime after the end of November. So there's going to be a lot of regulations in flux that we're going to have to try to decipher what it's going to mean to the H-2A farmers, not only to the H-2A community, but to farming in general in the state of Maryland. So as a matter of fact, it's 100 pages that I've been reading for this past couple of weeks, trying to make heads or tails of some of the stuff. And unfortunately, the usual people that we reach out to in the U.S. Department of Labor are furloughed, so we cannot really, make inquiries to them right now. So it's going to have to wait till the shutdown's over for us to be able to get more detailed guidance from the U.S. Department of Labor. But in general, it's a growing program, and I still believe that the apprenticeship program would provide a real added benefit to our farming community. I know it's something that's not going to grow, overnight. It's going to take time. We have been seeing a little bit of interest from individuals that have contacted some of the job service centers interested in farming, not so much as a farm worker, but more how to get into farming themselves. So the apprenticeship program for them would be a a real plus. So I don't know if that explains some things to you, or if you have any other questions, I would be happy to answer.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about like the H2B program and how that differs from H2A?
Yeah, well, a big difference for us anyway, between the H2A and the H2B program up until now, at least in the past, has been that the H2A program, we're a lot more heavily involved in the program because contractually, the contract between an H2A employer and employee has many facets that involve the Maryland Department of Labor. So we have to look at the actual contract. We have to approve or deny the contract as one of the steps before the USDOL actually looks at the contract. They have to advertise within the state of Maryland, for possible and potential applicants that are qualified. We have to do housing inspection, make sure that the housing meets minimum standards. And also the employers are obligated to open their doors during the season for us to have an opportunity to do outreach to the H2A workers. And historically with the H2B, we've only been involved with the processing and the publishing of the job orders. But we have noticed that going forward, that the U.S. Department of Labor is going to require the state workforce agencies to be a little bit more involved in outreach programs to the H2B workers as well. So that may be something that's going to be an added work burden and requirement for us in the future, probably starting this coming year. I saw one of the questions that you were asking specifically about the seafood industry, and I did a little background check on that. And this year, at least, I've found that every seafood industry applicant was able to get approved and certified in the state of Maryland. So that's a good step. It doesn't always mean that they're actually going to, get the people to come up and actually get the visas or not, but they have been certified. And the reason why I'm explaining it to you like that is because the H2B program is vastly different from the H2A, where the H2A program, there's no quota on the amount of people that the H2A visas are provided to. So that's a big difference. The H2B program, there's a quota, and it's usually set by law, and it's divided among 2 seasons. Every season is divided into a 6-month period. Usually, one of the seasons starts July the 1st, and the other one is January the 1st. And usually, most employers, hit the button as close to midnight, January the 1st or July the 1st as they can, because that usually improves their capability of getting approved, as fast as possible, so they can apply for the visas. However, when it actually comes to even after they're certified, when it comes to the visa applications, that's where the nail gets kind of placed into the cog wheel of progress there, because as long as the USCIS, which is the Immigration Naturalization Service, the people that actually provide the visas, as long as they have enough visas available, that's no problem. But as soon as the visas run out, you can get certified but not get visas for your actual employees. So that in the past few years, every year the federal government has been adding extra number of visas to the quota, but those are limited as well. Usually a quota is about 66,000 visas, but that's nationwide. That's across the entire country. And if they add another percentage to the quota per season, it's usually about 20,000. So you basically have, including the extra quotas, about 86,000 visas that will be issued, but that's nationwide. So that's not just in one state, that's across the entire country. And those visas usually, even with the extra quotas, they run out pretty fast. Usually, I think this year it was a matter of less than a month. All the visas were taken up. So it can happen pretty fast, but so that's been a challenge. I've heard rumblings in the within the U.S. Department of Labor that they're thinking about changing some of these visas, the H-2A, possibly the H-2B visas, to a multi-year visa, so you don't have to go through the entire process every time. That once as long as the job opportunity, the contract stays the same, and there's no problem with that particular worker, that person would be issued an automatic visa to the same employer, usually for up to 3 years. So that may give a little bit of a little bit more flexibility to the system, but I believe that may require some passing of new law, so we have to wait and see if that actually happens or not. There's a lot of moving parts to both of these programs right now, so it's a little bit of a challenge, but I do hope that especially with the more long-term visa process, if that comes to be, I think there would be a big relief for a lot of the employers.
Norton, I have a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
You said that every applicant from the seafood industry in Maryland was approved, like they were certified to be eligible to be assigned a worker from the H-2B program. Do you know how many seafood like businesses applied, and like how many visas were actually filled, like what the discrepancy is?
Yeah, that number off the top of my head I don't have, but it's probably a number between 5 and 10 employers. Each employer, some of them, they ask anywhere from just a few handful to dozens. And I can get you those numbers, but not off the top of my head right now. However, I can tell you how many were certified, but like I said, the difference between certification and actually the visas being offered, it's something that's a little bit difficult number to get. I can probably dig those out. The problem has been in the past that the USCIS, which is the consulates and the immigration services, they kind of hold those numbers a little bit close to the vest. So there's usually a lag time. By the time I find out how many were actually certified, sometimes it may be like a year lag time before I actually find out the numbers. So it's a more difficult number to ascertain. The numbers actually applied for and certified, that's something that we know exactly how many they are, because that's part of our process. We follow that process along. We take part in that particular process. Once it goes to USCIS, that's out of our hands. That part of the process is out of our hands. We can help the employers, how to respond to the applications, and we can answer many questions, but we do not take part in the actual consulate interviews or the process within USCIS.
Thank you. That makes sense. Do we have a hand raised? So I was going to ask, we have many ag service providers on the call, like if anyone has insight about like labor trends that they're hearing from farmers they work with. But Nancy, you had your hand up, so why don't you go first?
No, that's okay. I just have a really quick question, and maybe I misunderstood it, but it sounds like there's 86,000 visas that might be issued nationwide. But how did,
That includes the extra quota.
okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
how
usually
did they,
about 66,000, yeah.
how do they determine, like, do they look at a state's needs, or is it just first come, first serve? Did I miss that part?
Well, it used to be first come, first serve, but a couple of years ago, the USDOL, because it really got to be kind of a crazy system. They still have to apply within that. The majority of these applications occur those first 3 days. Those first 3 days used to be you have to have somebody stay awake midnight, 12:01, hit that button because first come was first serve. But now they have what's called a randomization process where they try to kind of shuffle the deck a little bit. And so it tries to make it a little bit more fair for maybe the person that didn't hit the button exactly at midnight. But so it's a randomized process. But as far as I can tell, there's no favoritism as to an industry or a particular state or area. It's usually a random process, and we try. My office, we set a deadline for ourselves. Usually, that first week of the H-2B season, like I said, which is July the 1st and January the 1st. We can't take a vacation. Me and my team, we can't go anywhere. We have to, because by law, we have to process all these applications as soon as they apply in the federal system in 6 days. And that includes the weekends. So if you take away a weekend, we actually got 4 days. So we can't take a vacation. We usually go through hundreds of applications as fast as we can to make sure that our guys here in Maryland have a good shot at being certified. The faster they're certified, the faster they can get their visas applications to USCIS. USCIS just recently, by the way, changed their procedures a little bit to make it a little bit easier and hopefully speed up the entire process. Where in the past, when I say the past, a month or two ago, the USCIS would not accept any applications until the employer was actually certified. Now they've opened up as soon as their application's accepted, that employer will be able to now go to apply online with USCIS and start the process. And so as soon as they're certified, they can send the certification, the paperwork to USCIS, and that's basically half the time needed, that's required in the process. So hopefully they'll be able to speed up the entire application process considerably, but being able to start the process online before they're actually certified. But that benefit doesn't just go to us here in Maryland. All the employers across the country will have the same benefit, but I still think it will help everybody across the board. It'll be definitely a plus. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, it did.
Thank you, Norton. And I saw that Tyler has joined the call too. Thank you, Tyler. I'm going to go ahead and put you right on the spot and introduce you. Tyler Butler is the general manager with Butler's Orchard in Germantown, Maryland. Tyler, can you say hello for us, please?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I am so sorry I'm late. We've got 2,500 school kids from all over the DMV here today, and things are going smooth now. So I'm here. But just introduce myself a little bit. Third generation farmer here in Montgomery County, 300-acre agritainment business, and pick your own farm. So we're celebrating, as you can see, our 75th anniversary this year. We have such a diverse, our grandfather taught us to be diverse and diversify your operations. So from Easter, we've got, a Bunnyland Festival in the Easter, and then right into strawberries, about 20 acres of strawberries, 15 acres of blueberries, sour cherries, blackberries, flowers, pumpkins, apples, Christmas trees. Hello, Grace. Yeah, we've got so many things we're doing, and it's very complicated. And our labor and the Mexicanos that are here are just a lifesaver. And so I work directly with the men. My Spanish is good because of them, and it tears me up to think about just how important they are and their family to us, because without them, I don't know what we would do.
And just to say a good word, I can vouch for Tyler. He's a great guy, a great man, and his family's fantastic. They do a really nice job. I mean, it's a beautiful farm.
Yeah, thank you, Norton. And I work with Norton. Norton's been wonderful to work with. I took over the H2A program. Maybe we've been doing it for over a decade now, and things have changed and whatnot. But Norton was there to help with the transition of who's helping get these guys across the border, because there's nothing more important to me and to them and their families than to getting them here safely and smoothly. And I've got another business that we run, which is called Dock Waters Cidery. It's a 100-acre apple orchard and hard cidery in Montgomery County. And we have 4 men from Mexico as well, all part of the same family. So I've got 2 companies, 2 separate H2A applications, workers. So it gets a little complicated. I've got 4 different homes, or 3 homes. So yeah, it's a lot of work. And we just celebrated Bertine, who was our main jefe. He passed away, and he worked all the way up until he was 88 at this family. And wow. Now I have, at one point in time, we had Bertine, we had his 4 sons and his 3 grandsons. So we literally have, it's the Butler Gonzalez farm for the last, amazing years. So that's kind of how we operate. These men are doing such a diverse amount of labor. They're not just doing one thing over and over. They are very seasonal, and they're going from harvesting crops to pruning blueberries, pruning apple trees. So they do everything.
Thanks, Tyler. And so we've already been asking Norton many questions about how H2A and H2B work in Maryland. But I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit more. You've already explained how your participation with H2A looks at like a high level. I'm curious if you can talk through like other hiring considerations for Butler's Orchard. Do you hire local Marylanders? Is that ever a challenge for you? I guess talk through some more of those details.
Yeah, so just talking about labor in general, we've got 234 W-2s that will go out this year. The saying of Butler's Orchard is that our job is either your first job or your last job. So we have a lot of retirees. We've got a lot of young kids we're teaching how to work and come into the workforce. And then we have about 15 to 20 full-time employees, which is way more than the 3 of my uncle, my aunt, my dad back in the day had. So we've scaled dramatically, and our labor has had to scale. And the challenge in Montgomery County, we've got high minimum wage. We've got a workforce that doesn't quite really know how to work, the younger kids. So we've been really focusing more on adults because we can, they've been around and they want to kind of be their last career here. But 232 W-2s, it's a lot of human beings to schedule, navigate, bookkeeping wise. And so with the men, having a solid crew that comes back year after year is so important to us, because that turnover that we experience with the other 220 employees it's so vital to have consistency. And so sometimes they want to bring some new guys, but they're so valuable to have somebody that has already been trained on pruning apples, who already knows about clipping pumpkin stems, and being efficient. So labor-wise, my sister's in charge of the HR and hiring, and it's a challenge. We're hiring at this time of year, we're hiring any human body that comes in with a smile and availability. So it has been a challenge to find people here that are ready to work, and especially to do what these men are doing on a weekly basis. So we have, most of them are H-2A. We have 2 permanent residents, green card holders, but they're not giving those out anymore, I don't think, too much these days, Norton. So we're really relying on the H-2A program heavily. And this year we had quite an issue with the application and changes. So I really have come to the conclusion that I have to hire a third party. It is now at the point where it's too much for me and my team here to navigate, and even Norton too. The 3 of our team here wasn't capable to get the men here on time because of some of the issues that we faced in the application, and some things that they passed in years past. This year they decided, nope, we're not going to count that. And so we didn't get our apples picked. We didn't get our apples pruned this year. Some apples never even got pruned at all. Some got pruned, but they were over a month late. I felt awful. Their families weren't getting money. They were sitting waiting for me to get my paperwork together. So 2025 was my worst year of H-2A, and I've decided that I have to find a third party to navigate the process, because we cannot rely on missing. We can't have an application get denied and have to start the process over again. It's just not acceptable. So if we can get these men here smoothly, efficiently, and I have the same men coming every year. So it's a lot of repetitive things.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Lorian, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. And thanks, Tyler. It's really good to see you. I can also vouch for Butler Farms. I was there like 2 weeks ago and saw your men, and just so many pumpkins. Like just truck after truck of pumpkins were going by. But I just wondered if, seeing as how this year was just so hard for your H-2A workers, if you had any thoughts about something I heard about recently, which is one of the few things, if Congress ever gets its act together, about the Farm Workforce Modernization Act that might be coming down the pike. And I'll share a link that, something I looked at recently. I shared the link in the chat. And apparently it's going to help with some of the hidden costs, might be making it easier. But also just wondered if you had any thoughts on that. I'm going to share the link on it. But also just what's the process look like of hiring a third party? That sounds really complicated. And how many of those are there in the area to even engage with?
Yeah, the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, I'm excited to learn more about it. I will say I haven't been briefed on it yet, but there's been a lot of push to it seems, especially recently, to get this ball rolling. Every year at Farm Bureau, we always talk about the Farm Bill. We talk about, getting H-2A workers, getting the H-2A program reformed. So maybe this could be a good piece. I've got your link. I'll definitely take a look at it. But third party wise, I just signed on. I've got a few emails from third party companies that are saying, hey, do you want help with your H-2A? The big thing for me is trust. I need to be able to trust the company, know that they're going to do a good job. And so I'll need to ask around and find some good people. I'll talk to Norton. I know he's got some contacts that we're all a bunch of farmers, and we're not in competition with each other. We're always sharing ideas. So I'm constantly calling and talking to people about how they're doing their H-2A program. I don't know how it will look, but at this point, there isn't probably a number that I won't pay to not go through what I went through this past spring, because the whole Butler family is looking at me and saying, why aren't the men here yet? What are you doing that is the issue? So and then they're calling me from Mexico and saying, what's going on? So Norton and I will get a game plan this year. We'll start ahead of time. We'll find the right party to get us going. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I just think it's pretty complicated for anybody to do this on their own these days.
So with regard to like domestic hiring processes, is there an angle there for Butler's Orchard or like Norton that you've heard from other farmers that you're working with, how to get more Marylanders interested in working on farms?
Well, I was going to make a comment about something that Tyler said, and I want to back him up. The wonderful thing about the guys that like Tyler gets and a lot of our other farmers get is that these guys, when they arrive, these guys know exactly what to do. And I always get a lot of praise for the guys that come to work on our farms. They're used to the hard work. They know exactly what to do. And that's been kind of a challenge for a lot of farm employers in the past, not just recently, but it's been an ongoing an increasing challenge to find people that are not only able but ready, willing, and able to do farm work. It's a tough job. So it's really been a challenge, and that I don't know how how Tyler feels about this, but I get a lot of feedback from a lot of farmers across the entire state that the beauty about the H-2A, but at the same time, like Tyler was saying, we had some issues with immigration services for a lot of the H-2A visas because the consulates, it was a mess. We didn't know which one was open, which one was closed, what times that they were applying. But if a lot of our farms, if they can't get these guys unseasonally, it does affect the farm considerably. So it's really important. And unfortunately, I've seen farms across the state that they've been very lucky. They do a combination of local workers plus the H-2A, but and like Tyler does too. But a lot of what I've found is a lot of the work that our local people are willing to do, usually limited to things like the farm store, or packing, shipping, driving, farmers market, that kind of stuff. But the actual going out in the field, the under the heat and the rain and all that stuff, that work is really tough. And every year, I think it's been a growing challenge for people like Tyler to find those kind of people. So that's why the H-2A program is really important to people like Tyler and Schlegel and all these guys. I mean, it's we work with them, to see how we can make their lives a little easier. There's only so much that we can do. I mean, we're not the U.S. Department of Labor. We try to, be a liaison with them and try to figure things out and make it as easy as we can. But we're here to help as much as we can.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, the guys are weeding strawberries with a hoe. We've got 20 acres of strawberries, and in the heat of the summer. So you're not gonna find very many human beings that want to do that or are okay doing that. So yeah, it is challenging work. The great thing about our company is that we are so seasonal. So you know there's a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to weeding strawberries. But you're going to see a lot of farms, guys, that are going to stop growing certain crops because of the labor. So If you're trying to pick a strawberry in Montgomery County, good luck going to find a strawberry farm. We've had 2 friends in the past few years that just stopped growing strawberries. It's very labor intensive. And again, we're talking about farms that need to be profitable to bring these men here. So the margins on produce are always so small, and agritainment is what in all honesty, agritainment is what gets us through. If we were just a produce farm, we wouldn't be anywhere close to where we are today. So we've got to think about the margins when it comes to produce, and America does not like to pay a lot for their food. They like cheap food. Yeah. So as we keep getting higher costs, higher prices, you're going to see farms deciding mainly based on labor. We have over $1 million in labor each year. They're going to stop growing certain crops. So you're going to see a limited amount of fruits and vegetables as the labor becomes more and more difficult.
As a matter of fact, I'd like to back you up on that. We've already seen a couple of these farms actually stop, especially veggies and things like that, because that's very labor intensive, and they would make the switch to a more mechanized kind of a product. There's also the issue with the veggies. If you're going to be a wholesaler to the grocery stores, these grocery stores put a huge squeeze on fresh produce, and it's some of the farmers cannot make a living. I mean, they sometimes almost have to sell their produce under their cost in order to sell it to a particular food chain store. So it's a tough business. I myself, let me tell you, my father and my grandparents were in farming back in Brazil. I would not do it today. It's a tough business. I admire these guys considerably. I really do. I admire farmers considerably. It's a real tough job, and I really admire it.
So thank you guys. We had a question in the chat from Michelle about following up on these labor intensive crops. Do you know if there are any organizations doing advocacy around that issue, or is there any documentation or tracking happening around farms who are changing their enterprises altogether because of labor shortages?
As far as advocacy, I besides the Farm Bureau and people like that, Tyler may know more about this more than I do, but I think that one of the industries that we have seen a lot of push recently is the wine business. The wine business seems to have their act together pretty well. They're doing pretty well, and as far as I can tell, I mean, there's certain problems here and there, but they all seem to push what Tyler mentions, the agrotainment aspect of the wine business, and that we've seen some of our wineries in Maryland become very, very competitive in that industry, and not just in Maryland, but across the entire region. It's a relatively new part of the farming community for the state of Maryland, but boy, they have really grown by leaps and bounds, and they're doing really well, as far as I can tell. This past year, I think it was a challenge for everybody. We had a combination of the problems with the consulates, and we also had a lot of problems with the weather. It was either too much rain or not enough rain that caused a lot of problems this year. So the 2025 has been a challenging year for Maryland farms.
Yeah, and I think in regard to the Farm Bureau, I mean, they are our voice in regards to H-2A labor. So I will definitely make sure I check in with our labor. There is a labor committee that I'm a part of as well. So I don't think there's any tracking yet to answer your question about losing some of these crops. It's just something we've seen between farmers and talking to the farming community. But yeah, you're gonna find crops that are less labor intensive, that have less inputs, And so, yeah, it's not being tracked, but I think Farm Bureau for sure is going to focus on some of these small producers who produce a lot of produce and a lot of small fruits, and find out what's going on there. So as of right now, we don't have that. But yeah, one more thing on Norton, like you said, the consulates, our men live in Hidalgo, which is a small village in the mountains of Mexico, about 5 hours from Mexico City, and we've always gone to Mexico City, and it's cheap, it's easy to get to, they can make it happen. And this year they said, nope, not taking any appointments. They've got to take an 11-hour bus ride to Monterrey, and they've got to wait at the border for 4 days, and then I found out there's a million Mexican holidays in the month that I was trying to get them here, and they were closed multiple days during the week. So that was such a hurdle for me and the men, is that why did it all of a sudden they can't go to the capital city of the country, and they've got to go to these small remote places to go to the border. It just didn't make sense, and it only cost everybody time and money, and a lot of money for me to get the guys here. So that was one big thing I wanted to mention, Norton, was we got to get Mexico City back.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not a problem just for Tyler. It's a problem for just about almost everybody across the country. They're trying to get a whole bunch of people funneled through, a couple of consulates. It was a totally ridiculous kind of scenario. So it was not fun. It was not pretty thing to deal with. So.
And one thing I'll say about labor, it's not always doom and gloom about there are very unique individuals who have this work ethic, who want to go into farming, who are American citizens, right? So we've got to find a way to find those individuals, whether it's internship programs, which we've kind of stayed away from. There's not a lot of structure, but if we could find these programs where those individuals have been vetted a little bit and say, I want to be a farmer. I want to, I don't mind the long hours. This is something I want to be a part of. So that would be something I would look into more for sure. Because there are some solid, Americanos who jump in, and I said, wow, you can hang with the men, and they're picking onions.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges for farming in general and finding American workers is farming is a seasonal affair in general. And I think people like Tyler are finding ways to stretch that season out by doing all kinds of agri-tainments. And I don't know for a fact, but I believe that Tyler, the guys that you have working on the farm are the ones that work all year round, or mostly the year round. So I think that if we can find ways for farming to be more of a year round kind of process in certain aspects, and show support for farmers in Maryland to be able to do that, and not break the bank kind of thing. I think that would help a lot, because once you get the guys trained and working on the farm, I believe that people really enjoy working on the farm, because you got your hands in the dirt, and you actually you can see the progress, and you can see the results of your labor on a daily basis. I think it's very satisfying kind of work myself. But it's tough. It's not and if it's seasonal, I think it becomes a little tougher, because and that's why we used to have a lot of migrants, people that would move from part of the country to the other part of the country to capture different seasons, so they would have year-round work. But those days are it's a different time that we're talking about. People want to have a family, they want to settle down, they want to be able to buy their own house, that kind of stuff. So it's a different time. But by the way, I just wanted to say that whenever we're talking about certain farmers moving away from the produce and the veggies and that kind of stuff, this is all anecdotal information. Like Tyler was saying, it's nothing that I've seen anybody keeping a track of. this is more, conversations that Tyler has had with, other farmers and that I have had with other farmers. So it's nothing that I've seen statistics on. It's more anecdotal, but I have seen, movement in that direction.
Thank you, guys. Philip, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys, both. Very informative, and appreciate your commitment to working in challenging times. My question is a little bit orthogonal, but related. How are seasonal housing needs being met, and what do you think we're going to need going forward?
Well, that part of that answer depends on the region of Maryland. I can tell you right now that in the Eastern Shore, right now it's very challenging. If you cannot provide housing on your own property, it's very, very difficult. The housing supply, especially in the Eastern Shore, is very, very limited. It's very expensive when you find it. And unfortunately, some of the local, what we found is that the farmers tell us that to get a permit to build something, it's a years long process. It's very confusing. It's kind of it's a very challenging process. So it's especially in the Eastern Shore. So it's like I said, it depends on the area. I know that even in this on the Western Shore, it's also a challenge if you're trying to build a new location, a new barracks style housing to house labor. It's a challenge. It's the process is not easy. But on the Eastern Shore, for some reason, because the housing is limited and the process to obtain licenses is very difficult, it's a real challenge.
Yeah, that's a great question about labor. Housing has been, Norton comes out, he measures the rooms, we test the water, the fire marshal comes out. So we have a home at our cidery that was part of the farm when we bought it. It has like 5 bedrooms. I've got only 4 men living there, and I've got a property taxes of like $7,000 or $8,000 a year. So we're thinking, how do we Airbnb this thing out in the off season? Or they're living great in this big home.
Beautiful house.
It's a beautiful house. It's just
really
for me to build something else. There's been talk about trying to figure out how to get another housing there. So it's not very economical, but we're in the process right now of building. We're going to get a double wide mobile home. These men are here for 9 months. They've got to have somewhere nice to stay for most of their year is here. So we're doing our best to make happy employees, definitely happy workers. So
Right.
we're putting in a brand new septic system. Of course, the old septic system didn't pass. So there's lots of regulations in Montgomery County to get, and I'm sure in Maryland, to build a home. And not many farms without that agri-tainment income can afford a $200,000 mobile home, plus all the site work, demolition fees, and everything. So that's just how important these guys are, is that we're literally building a brand new home for them. So other farmers I know, they rent apartments off-site, and then they've got some challenges there with the men being off-site and transportation and things like that. So good question about labor housing, and I enjoy my visits from Norton every year, and it's the same homes every year, and it's a good check-in though, even though not much has changed within the houses, except Norton new house this year, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And Lorian, did you have a question?
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to just ask, for Tyler's sort of feedback, while he's here, is that, it's good to hear that you haven't had a horrible experience with all domestic workers, because I know it is always hit or miss, and just it's hard. But I wondered if, so one thing that we've been talking about in this group is, connecting with the Maryland Department of Labor to coordinate the organic vegetable grower the farm manager apprenticeship. So that would be like almost like having an H-2A worker, but for a domestic worker who's an apprentice learning how to manage a farm for an organic farm. And then there's a curriculum that, you'd sort of be partially responsible for, but there might be a group helping out with that, helping out providing the actual learning components, but there's still a lot of paperwork and you pay the farmer, a wage probably similar to H-2A worker wage. So I'm wondering if, given your all's administrative capacity and that you have someone handling everything, if that's something that you can see incorporating into Butler's Orchard.
An apprenticeship program, it sounds great. Yeah. And, we've had an employee who's just left us, and she's going to be one of the very few, she's going to be a horticulture teacher in Montgomery County High School. We have an employee that left here and is now working for USDA Beltsville. We have, so we have completely these young kids who show that they're good and show that they want to work on a farm. We've definitely been the jumping off point for a lot of the agriculture sector. Over a handful of kids have gone into the ag sector because of their job here. So if we can get an apprenticeship where we can, further, increase their love for the farm and for the land, that would be great. But in the end, it all comes down to dollars, right? Like I've got a woman that works for us. She's amazing. She wants to be an extension agent, for an agriculture extension agent. She has a 4-year degree. Not a lot of job openings for that. And so she's here and she's working on the farm right now. She's making caramel apples. But hopefully she can be a jumping off spot for her. But I'm very interested in an apprenticeship program that isn't overly regulated, overly, we get some of these and they say, well, they have to work this many hours at this many time. And Norton said it, the seasonality is the hard part. And we know now that we have to pay, if we want to keep somebody at Butler's Orchard, we've got to pay them a living wage, and we've got to pay them when I've got no money coming in the door, which is January, February, and March. I can't grow anything in those months, guys. I've got asparagus. That's the first thing I'm growing to get dollars in the door, but that's in April. So yeah, it's that seasonality of like, we now have the ability to pay people to work on the farm in the wintertime. And they do, while the men are in Mexico, we've got some full-time Americanos that are pruning apple trees and blackberries. And yes, when the men get back, they're very critical, but they're helping. And that's all we can ask for. But we're very interested in that apprenticeship as well, and finding those individuals that have been vetted a little bit, because and again, the turnover is not great. Somebody who comes in for just a year or a summer, it's okay. If they come in skilled a little bit, that would help. But having to teach someone is the difficult problem, and then they just move on. So maybe a couple-year apprenticeship.
I can say one thing. I've found that we have a lot of farmers that are doing apprenticeship, but more in an ad hoc, voluntary basis, like Tyler is basically doing. Not official apprenticeship, and because the flexibility is required in that business. It requires a lot of flexibility, and that's one of the traits that farmers have to learn is patience and flexibility, because it's you never know what the weather's going to be, what what crops are going to hit or miss. So it does require some of that. I'm going to make a little bit of a comment. I've tried to help certain, get together the apprenticeship program with some farmers here in Maryland. And one of the criticisms that I did hear back, and Tyler kind of hinted on this, is that the apprenticeship program is a great program. Everybody loves it, but it's a little bit too rigid the way it's operating right now for the farmers to kind of sink their teeth into it. I know that there's a lot of rules and regulations they have to abide by, but farming is not indoor 9 to 5 job. It's a whole different ballgame. So maybe the apprenticeship program has to make some fine adjustments to the program somehow. I think that may help to get a lot of other farmers into the program. And also, farming is not cheap. So even if a farmer has all the intentions, or a young person has all the intentions to become a farmer, it takes a lot of money to buy the land and to buy the equipment. Depending on some, the kind of farm work you're going to do, the equipment is not cheap. Even the cheapest farm equipment can go anywhere from the hundreds to the $250,000, $500,000. So it's a lot of commitment to get into farming. But it's just my personal view that I think that if the apprenticeship program kind of tweaks a little bit to make it more farm friendly, let's say, I think it would help the process quite a bit. It's strictly a personal point of view.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming. And
Mhm.
yeah, we're at time, and so we really appreciate
Thank
your
you.
insight, and I think great food for thought for the future. Really appreciate both of your time, and
Yeah.
wishing everybody a good afternoon.
All right. Good afternoon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.